Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. So we are continuing on the topic of just listed, just solds. So let's go ahead and pick up with where we left off. For those of you guys that are joining us from the other platforms, just of course want to go ahead and encourage you to come join us over here on Zoom. So thank you guys all for being here on time and ready to go. I do apologize about yesterday. Basically, we just had a power outage. So anyways, let's just go ahead and continue to move forward. Let's go ahead and continue to just maximize the opportunities with just listed. Now, as I mentioned before, one of my favorite, scripts is this one. And the reason why it's one of my favorite scripts is because it is pretty universal. Just simply in having conversation, whether it's being in a car, in an Uber, a Lyft, or, being at the grocery store, it gives us the opportunity to be able to just simply use it and just converse. Okay. Are you from this area? How long you been here? Where'd you move from? How'd you happen to pick this area? If you were to make a move, where would you go to next? Just the simplicity of the script. It's quite universal is basically my point. Okay. Last week we did talk about a couple of different things. We talked about creating a pre-prospecting routine. Okay. And the pre-prospecting routine is just the simplicity of waking up every single day, same exact time, doing some version of exercising, eating healthy, something that's going to fuel your body. How about working on your mindset? We got to work on this all the time. It's something that whether you're a positive person or you're not such a positive person, it's something I'm going to encourage you to work on a constant basis. Getting to your office at the exact same time, or at least, bettering whatever it is that you've been doing, identifying what that is. Having a clear desk, does your desk inspire you? Does it motivate you? Does it have a picture of your loved ones? Does it have a mirror? Does it have a let's get ready to work type of approach and or mentality? Getting some role play in. The understanding as far as the skills is concerned, it is important. Lizette and I right now we're listening a book. Been a little bit on Brian Tracy. If you guys don't know who Brian Tracy is, I'd encourage you to look up Brian Tracy. And one of the things Brian talks about is just the simplicity of in the field of sales. So obviously we're in the sales of real estate. In the field of sales, it's easy to separate yourself from the competition. And the reason that is because think about it. Most people, see sales as a fallback career. This is something that, very, very few people come out of high school and say, you know what, I want to be a salesperson. Very few people. I was one of those weirdos in high school that said, yeah, I do want to be a realtor in specific in high school. But it's very rare. I would say 90-95% of the people. Think about yourself. You went to school for something else. You got a business degree, you got a degree in accounting. Were intending to go to school for something in the medicine field. And then all of a sudden, either one of your friends or you watched Selling Sunset, Selling OC, or whatever it is, Housewives of OC, and you're like, you know what, let me get a part of this. The point that I'm making is that it gives us the opportunity to easily separate ourselves. And for those people that have had the good fortunes of being able to get to an elite status, they understand this. That's really in a nutshell. I knew that I could just simply outwork my competition, and it wasn't really going to take much effort. Now, when it took effort in combination with the art of skill, is really with what separated me from the competition. And Lizette and I were talking about this morning, just in today's society and, in your market, who's the top salesperson? What is it that they're doing? How many transactions are they doing? You'll notice that there's not too many people, regardless of the market that you're in, that are doing 50 plus transactions a year on their own. Hey, now, are there teams? Sure, there's all these mega teams doing 100 deals, 150 deals, 200 deals. Heck, Lizette and I are putting together a mega team that's going to do over 100 plus deals a year this year. But at the end of the day, how many individuals? Where do you stand? Where is that pecking order? So looking at things that's going to separate you, and one of them is going to be that of the language of sales, knowing your craft, working on bettering your skill set. So I guess my question is, how much time are you investing in that? How much time are you investing in either just the simplicity of recording? Heck, just read the script, just read it. You can always role play, Do you have a role play partner? I encourage all of my coaching clients to have a minimum of 10 role play partners. Yeah, I said 10. Okay. And I continue to push them and continue to move them in that direction towards 10. How many do you have, if any? I just curious. So you want to constantly work on your skill set. Listen back to listen to your recordings, record yourself. What is it that you're saying? What is it that you're not saying? Are you continuously having the same bad habits? Are you asking a lot of yes or no type questions? Are you asking more open-ended questions? Are you leading with who, what, when, where, why? All of those things. Last but not least, this business isn't easy. Yeah, it's stressful. It's very, very stressful. And if you sit there and say otherwise, awesome. Kudos to you. But most people that are, reaching a certain level of success, it comes with, unfortunately, that stress level. So we have to keep it as light as we can. You want to find yourself constantly, laughing. Heck, even laugh at yourself. I'll laugh at myself sometimes. Even on here, I'm sitting here saying something and I'm like, man, I can't even spoke today. Yesterday, I was talking to one of our agents, same exact thing. I'm like, goodness gracious, I can't get the words out of my mouth. And it happens sometimes like that. So the point is to keep the entire process light, make it enjoyable, have fun with it. That's the amazing benefits of having, a life partner and business partner like Lizette, because it gives me the opportunity to day in, day out, we laugh 10, 20, 30 times a day. And when we don't, that's the part where it makes it monotonous. It makes it like, what the heck are we in this business for? So identify where is it that you can keep it lighter. Okay, how do you make this thing a little bit more inspirational? Now, any questions that I can address? Anybody have any comments, any questions, anything of anything? Listen, I don't know if you want to add anything before I go back into furthering my points.
Just going into the books, because we do go into our mindset every single day. We go to the gym and we listen to the audiobooks. So we just finished The Relentless by Tim Grover, which he's a little newer to me. I'm not as athletic, but you had a lot of knowledge of who he was, and so just learning a little bit more about him, and then what it really takes to be the best, and he's in the coaching field as well. So, just training the best is a different world. Then now we're jumping into Brian Tracy, and this one, for anyone who wants to know, the book is called Unlimited Sales Success by Brian Tracy. And again, we just started this one, and it's been really good as of starting it. So I've already learned a few things as we've gone through it. So, but I agree. I agree that it's something that we have to dedicate ourselves into if this is the industry, this is a career that we're choosing,
Yeah.
and it will separate us from a lot of the competition.
Yeah, I think the one thing that actually Brian Tracy mentioned this morning is he said, "Hey, look, just read 5 pages. Just read 5 pages. And if you read 5 pages, the average book is going to be about 200 pages. If you read 5 pages every single day, you're probably going to read a book every 2 to 3 months. If you can read 4, 5, or 6 books a year, you're going to be better than the majority of the people." Okay. So whatever that goal is, continue to push yourself, continue to inspire yourself. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that is going to help us on Just Listed in specific. So let me get to my next point. See, here's the thing. Prospecting is for the rest of our lives. It's just that it just is. If your goal is to continue in sales, you got to prospect. Now, hear this out. Listen to me. You're like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't want to be on the phone calling all the time. Well, think about it. Even if you've been in the business 20, 30, 40 years, even if somebody does, all of your business gets referred to you, you still have to pick up the phone. Joe, hey, this is Robert. My buddy Jim Gilday actually just referred me to you, and I was calling you because he mentioned you're in the market to sell your home and buy a replacement home. What am I doing in that conversation, even though my good buddy Jim referred me this guy Joe, and I'm now sitting there saying, "Hey Joe," so on and so forth. My point with what I'm talking about is we have to work on this for the rest of our career. Prospecting is just part of that process, and you have to be an acceptance. Another thing that we heard today was, and it's not new, it's just always fresh and always enlightening when I get the opportunity to hear, Brian speak again. But with that, he talked about failure and embracement of failure. Success is on the other side of failure. And I learned this early on. I was, very fortunate to understand this concept. So if success is on the other side of failure, how fast are you willing to fail? Can you expedite success? And the answer is yes, you can. You can expedite success. You can expedite and put yourself in a position where you're doing more business than you ever have. But guess what that comes with? You have to fail at a higher rate. So, what I tell my coaching clients, look, you're going to fail. It's going to happen. But what I want you to do is I want you to fail fast, but I also want you to fail forward. So, because of this, you got to work on things that's going to be acceptant of that. I would tell myself, and I shared this with Lizette, I used to play this little silly little game. I went through some really great windows, and I'll brag for that matter. I went through 2 years of contacting 100 people every single day. Every day, 100 conversations. That's probably the epitome of my entire prospecting career. But the second thing that I'm most proud of is I used to play this silly little game. And the silly little game used to be what I called 50 or 1. And what was the 50 or 1? Well, the 50 or 1 was I had to make 50 contacts, 50 conversations, or set one appointment. Now, if I set an appointment and I did that on the very first contact, boom, I'm done. Or there was other days where I would have set an appointment and I'd get all the way to 50 contacts and I'm like, damn, I made 53 contacts today and not a single appointment. Well, little by little, that 50 or 1 turned into a 50 and 1. That's way different. Changing the or to an and made a world of difference because now not only did I have to make the 50 contacts, but I also and needed to have an appointment set. So even if I set an appointment on the very, very first contact, I couldn't stop because I still needed to reach the second half of my goal, and that was to make 50 contacts. So I played this game of 50 and 1, and I really pushed myself eventually to where I wanted to do 50 and 2. And I did. I would sit there and kind of put it up there, 50 and 2. And I was pretty successful majority of the time, 60, 70, 80% of the time. But some of those days, and that's actually where the 100 contacts came into play, is because some days I'd be like, man, I got to make like 100 contacts just to get to 2 appointments. So in that, I found myself like, dang, I'm at 103 contacts and I only have one appointment. So some days I would be like, I'm exhausted. I'm done. It's 8 o'clock at night. I'm supposed to be over here. And that's the part where, of course, obviously I wasn't fulfilling my job in regards to following my commitment to, my family at the time or following my schedule because yeah, I was hitting these numbers, but I wasn't hitting with what it is that I wanted to in terms of the appointments. So I would constantly play this little game with myself, the 50 or 1, turn it into 50 and 1, and then eventually 50 and 2. And the point that I'm making is that you want to be able to identify, what those minimum standards were. So work on that. Identify what are your minimum standards. Work on the mental conditioning to tie in with what I'm sharing with you about Brian, prospecting being a part of the rest of our lives and success being on the other side of failure. I understood that I needed to fail in most cases 40, 50 times before I succeeded with the one appointment. Now remember, setting the appointment doesn't mean attending the appointment. It would be very common for me to set 10 appointments a week and I would only attend 5 or 6 of them. Okay, that would be very common. And of the 5 or 6 of them, there'd be 2 or 3 of them that I'd have competition, because it wasn't expired, because it was a for sale binder, and they're interviewing 2 or 3 other agents. So my goal though was setting this standard. So working on the mental and conditioning of that is really important. Okay.
Robert, just really quick, because Sandy asked a very fair question. So defining a contact,
Sure.
what is that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important we understand that. Thank you for that, Sandy. Sometimes some of these things I take for granted. As far as a contact is concerned, it's very simple. Here's how I want you guys to identify a contact. A contact is nothing more than having a conversation, let me go deeper, with a decision maker. Now, if I pick up the phone and I call and there's a teenager or a kid that says, yeah, my mommy's not here, well, that's not a contact. A decision maker ideally is going to be an adult, 18 plus years of age. Now, I don't know if they're 18. I'm not going to sit there and say, how old are you? 19? Perfect, contact. But number 2 is you just have to ask one real estate question. That's it, one real estate question. Let me give you an example. I'm calling expires, which is probably one of the more aggressive ones. And I'd call an expire and I go through, oh, hi, I'm looking for Sandy. Hi, Sandy, this is Robert. I'm a local, click, no contact. Next person. Yeah, hi, Jim. Jim, hey, this is Robert. I'm a local realtor. The reason I'm calling you is because, click, no contact. Hi, Joe. Joe, hi, this is Robert. I'm a local realtor. The reason I'm calling is I'm sure you know that your home came up on our computer here as an expired listing. I was just calling to see when you were planning to interview the right agent for the job of getting your home sold here. You're not. F off. Click. All right, fine. Ugly but a contact. Okay, so anything on the other side of that, Sandy. Okay, so basically it's just nothing more than having one real estate question with a decision maker. So thank you for that. Was there any other insights or anything else that we have before we jump into the role play side of things?
No, I think that's it. I would say also, would you consider like a direct message on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that? Or would that be directly on the phone, getting somebody on the phone? Would that be a contact?
So let me break this down because especially in today's world, everybody wants to text, everybody wants to sit there and send an email out. The answer is no. First off, the answer is absolutely not. There is an exception, okay? And the exception is going to be, as an example, and I would do this, and I'm gonna explain a little bit further too. Um, if my goal for the day is to make 40 contacts, I want to make sure that I go through and I have 40 brand new conversations with brand new people. Okay, for the exception of my database. My database is probably going to be the only one. Number one. Number two, a follow up with a for sale by owner. That would be another version of a contact. But then I would get to my 40th contact, and on my 40th contact, only on my 41st contact, on my 41st contact, I would now add my lead follow ups as contacts. So the key to it for myself is I would set a minimum standard of no less than 40 conversations with brand new people or my database or for sale by owner follow up. But I would not include in the lead follow up all of the people under 40. Rule number one. Rule number two is texting did not count for me. The only time texting ever did count for me is if I set an appointment. And there that would be sometimes that would happen is go through. It's like, hey, is Robert just following up with you? Just wanted to see if you're ready to go ahead and get this process started. No response. Lizette, hey, it's Robert just giving you a call. I left you a voicemail earlier. You told me to give you a call back today, Wednesday, March 8th, or March 18th. I just wanted to see if you're ready to do this. That's it. Another voicemail. I would go through, I would now text. I'm still not counting it as a contact. I'd go through and said, hey, it's Robert. Just sent you over a couple of voicemails. When you get a chance, just let me know. I promise you, I wanted to make sure that I did get back to you by March 18th. So here I am fulfilling my commitment. Lizette replies and says, yes, let's get together. I'm super duper busy, but let me know Friday. What time can we get together? Can we do Friday at 2 or would 4 o'clock work better? She responds and says, Friday at 2. Perfect. That's a contact. That's the only time I'm ever going to use that as a contact. I know it's a little bit extra, but I want to have that discipline with myself that I am not including those people, just simply the texting of that, just at random. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
So we got two comments and a question, or a comment and a question. So thanks, great material, my friend. I can't say the name, but it's on Instagram. And then
Yeah.
Sean also asked, so once you announce your name and that you're a realtor, if they say they're not interested and hang up, does that not count?
Nope, not that, Sean.
Doesn't count.
Okay. So yeah. So Sean, you got to get through asking the very first question. If they don't answer, or sorry, let me back up. If you go through, I was calling Sean, hey, this is Robert, local realtor. The reason I'm calling is I just listed this property for sale right around the corner from you over on Banana Street, blah, 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 blah. Who do you know of? Nope, not interested. Click. When you get on the other side of the question, whether they answer, don't answer, they just hang up. As long as I could get through that question and then I hear the click, that's when I count it as a contact. Okay. And you guys can slice and dice it however you want. Okay. That was just my personal integrity. So, because I know, especially for some of my analyticals, Sean, you sit there and say, well, what about, okay, just on the other side of the question. That's it. I just want to get through the point where I can ask a question.
Yeah,
Good?
that makes sense.
All right, that's pretty much it. So you guys can slice and dice it however you wish. But I gave you guys Robert's personal integrities. Like as an example, most of you guys know, my mentor of 25 years, Mike Ferry, and he would basically sit there and say, with our database, let me go further just a little bit on this since we're on that topic. Calling our database, leaving them a voicemail, and Mike would say, count it as a contact, move on. Nothing against with what he's saying. I just didn't do that. But What I would do is I would always make sure that I would call them 3 days in a row, which we've talked about in database mastery. But I'd call them 3 days in a row, voicemail one, voicemail two, voicemail three. Then after voicemail three, my personal integrity, that's when I would go ahead and count them as a contact and then move on. Okay, that's just my personal integrity. Why did I do that? Simply because I found early on, I'd go through, I'd call my buddy Sean, Sean, hey, it's Robert, blah, 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 this and that, and I'd leave that voicemail. Very likelihood what would end up happening is Sean picks up the phone and goes, "Oh, Robert. Hmm. Well, I mean, there's my buddy Jim, but yeah, I don't want to bug Robert about Jim. That dude's always on the fence. That guy's like Mr. Flake." Well, I never got the opportunity to talk about that because that would be it. I'd leave the voicemail. Sean would look at his phone. He would go through. He would mentally answer that question in his head, but he would never give me Jim. Versus I try him. Finally he picks up. Sean, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's my buddy Jim, but that guy's always on the fence. He's been on the fence for like 2 years. Well, guess what I get to do? I get to do my job. Well, Sean, what's stopping him from making the move? I don't know. He's always talking about he can't afford it, he can't this. Sean, let me do this. Let me give him a call because a lot of times it's just the lack of information. And if there's a question or two that he may have, maybe I can answer the right question to get him away from where he's currently at. By the way, how long has he been renting? Oh man, that guy's been renting for like 10 years. Oh my gosh, Sean, you understand the troubles with that, right? Let me help your buddy, okay? Do me a favor, you talk to Jim, let me know if he's cool with it. When he is, just send me a group text and just introduce me that way. And that would be very often that I'd pick up the phone and I would call Jim and be like, Jim, hey, it's Robert, Sean's friend. He told me that you had a little bit of questions in regards to real estate. Yeah, this, that. I'm waiting for the market to crash. I'm waiting for the interest rates. I'm waiting for all this other stuff. Oh, okay, I got you, Jim. I understand. How much are you paying to rent right now? 2,700. Ouch. Goodness gracious. How long have you been renting for? 10 years. All right, Jim. Let me share with you the truth, buddy. You know this. $2,700 a month over the course of an entire year, you're throwing in the trash about $33,000 in the trash. If you've been doing this over the course of 10 years, you've thrown in the trash $300,000. Jim, I know we don't know each other, okay? But here's the thing. I don't like anybody throwing $300,000 in the trash. And you're sitting here waiting for the market to crash to maybe save 20, 30, or 50,000 and or maybe 200 or $300 a month on your monthly payment. Jim, that doesn't make any sense. Let's do this, okay? And you can decide, Jim. No pressure whatsoever. What I want to do is I want to get you over to my lender. Let me have my lender go through and run a couple of different scenarios. And heck, even if we park you into a one-bedroom condo, at least you're building equity and you're paying your mortgage instead of somebody else's mortgage. Would you be cool with that? Sure, why not? I get Jim over to the lender. The lender sits there and says, "Hey, Jim, you know what? For $3,100, we can get you into a half decent condo. Would you be open to the idea?" Yeah, but I live in a really nice two-bedroom apartment. Jim, you're throwing money in the trash. How much longer do you want to do this? Yeah, I guess so. You're right. Boom. I took with what was a maybe and turned it into a sale. That's what great salespeople do. Do you guys get that? Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I want to go ahead and break down the script as we go down the just listed script. But again, if you have anything, feel free to just jump right in. So let me go ahead and share a script. Okay. This is a participation part. I know we only got 5 minutes. I just want to work on the opening. Who wants to be that person that is going to work on their craft? Who is that person? Who's my next millionaire agent? Now we're good. I love it. Who wants to be the person on the other side of the call? I'll be the salesperson. I don't care if you're driving.
I'll be it.
Sweet. All right. So Sandy, you're gonna be basically just the person on the other side, and I'm just gonna do the opening. Okay. So
Mhm.
here we go. Ring ring.
Hello.
Hi, Sandy.
Who's calling?
Sandy, my name is Robert. I'm a local realtor with Blank Blank Realty.
And how
And
did you get my number?
well, I got so let's role play the positive first.
Okay.
Okay, because in that there's no point of role playing.
Okay.
Okay, but Yeah, my name is Robert. I'm a local realtor with Blank Blank Realty. The reason I'm calling is because I just listed a beautiful home for sale right around the corner from you over on Banana Street. It's a beautiful 4 bedroom, 2 bath home. We have it listed at a great price of $675,000. Sandy, I was curious, who do you know that wants to move here into our neighborhood?
Well, maybe my cousin Georgia does.
Okay, got it. So in that, now, I don't want to distract because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole with how'd you get my number. We can go over that as well in addition to. But when we do get that, I'm not worried about when I'm making 100 contacts. We're probably going to get 10 or 20 of those. Trash, move on. Okay. So I don't want to worry about that. What I want to do is I want to work on my craft. And even if Sandy did go into it from that direction, I'm just going to simply answer the question and move on. But I wanted to go through just the opening so everybody can kind of get a little bit of a feel for it. Okay. Now, on the other side of that, the likelihood of me getting somebody that she says there says my cousin, that's probably going to be less than 1%. Most of the time, what I'll get is going to be something along the line of, well, I might know somebody, but where is this house? That's probably the 1%ers. Okay. So in this, Sandy, would you be open to working on the opening yourself?
Oh, okay.
Just give it a shot. Okay, I'm gonna be very gentle, very new.
Right.
So here we go. Ring, ring.
I'm on
Hello.
my phone. Hi, is this Robert?
This is.
Hi, Robert. This is Sandra, and I'm a local realtor here in San Jose. And I was calling to let you know I just listed a house at 123 Banana Street. And I was wondering by chance, would you happen to know anyone that wants to move into the neighborhood?
Okay. So here's the tweak. You'll notice the tweak that you did, and you said, "Do you know of anybody?" Versus
Mm,
who.
yeah,
You notice it's underlined. Who do you
yeah,
know? Because in the way that you asked it, "Do you know of anybody?" We're gonna get a
no,
no.
yeah. It wasn't open-ended. Sorry about
So
that.
it's open. It's okay. But just an observation, because in that, when we ask yes or no questions, we get 3 strikes. And if I get right out the gate a strike on the very first question, well, I only get 2 more. Okay. So let's try it one more time. You did a great job in regards to the pace. I love it. You have great professionalism in your tone. But let's try it one more time.
Okay. Hi, Robert.
Yeah.
Hi, Robert. I'm a local realtor here in San Jose. And the reason why I'm calling is I just listed a home on 123 Banana Street. And I was wondering if you happen to know, I mean, I was, sorry, I forgot. Okay. Let's see here. And I was
Just read
curious.
the script. Just read the script for now.
Okay, I don't have I have it on my phone. It's really tiny. That's the problem.
Gotcha.
Okay. I was curious, who do you know that would like to move into the neighborhood?
I can't really think of anybody.
Can't think of anyone. Okay, well, let me ask you something. What about yourself? When are you planning on moving?
All right, awesome. Very good job. Okay, that's all I wanted to work on. And in that, you're in San Jose. So in San Jose, the market is pretty aggressive. Okay, the people are a little bit more curt. So outside of Manhattan, LA, you got San Francisco, which is not San Jose, but all of that Bay Area is very, very aggressive. So
Hmm.
with you, Sandy, you're going to want to mirror and match as quickly as you possibly can. Because in that, somebody's going to go through. Some people are going to be very cordial, like I am, not everybody. But there's also going to be the other percentage of people that are going to sit there and just be like, hello, who's this? What do you want? Okay. So in that, you want to just be as quick to mirror and as match, or quick to mirror and match as quickly as you possibly can. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody have anything?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, Lizette, anything in closing?
No, I think that's it. Just for tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here on time. I always want to start and finish on time. So we'll continue tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.